Good afternoon. Although I wish that I could go off on long photo trips like the one to Painted Hills all the time and hit all of the natural wonders of the area, the fact is that most of my photography has to be somewhere in the local area. And that leads us to an interesting situation because right now we're in what would probably be fairly called the in-between season. It's not yet spring, but winter is definitely over with. And it's like nature is waiting right now to burst forth. And at this point, it can be tricky to find photographic landscapes to shoot because really a lot of things are rather drab. So I've come to this park here, Lake Wilderness Arboretum again, and I'm going to try to see what can be done in terms of good compositions and what can make for compelling images even in a situation which is not the best. Now, one thing that I use all the time in forests, and particularly at this time of rather drab colors of the year, is a circular polarizer. It helps make colors richer. And also I set the auto white balance, which is, can't really bring this up right now, to daylight. I a lot of times have it on auto white balance, but I find it gives sort of a blue cast to everything at this time of year. Now, one thing that is clear is that you can't really do grand landscapes in a forest like this because it just will be complete chaos. However, if you go with a longer lens and get patterns amidst the woods, you can probably get some nice, almost semi-abstract images. The trick is you have to be very careful with how you line up the tree trunks. First of all, you do not want overlap as much as possible. Here I have a case with three trees in the front that bring a lot more of a subject focus against the back, but you can't have them overlapping anything. Another trick is you've got to be careful in places like this of human distractions. For example, if I took this over here and tried doing this shot, you'd have that, I think that's part of a sprinkler system. And that's going to cause issues. And I really don't want to have to take time to spot that out. So I'm going to have to move this and hide it behind a tree and see how that works out. So this is the composition I'm looking for with the three trees in front and woods in the background. See how this turns out. In general, detail shots can be really good at this time of year. I would turn around and look at this tree trunk. This is one of the three that I was using in the previous composition. Notice the moss on the tree and the textures on it. Going close in on that should give you a really nice image. I'm going to go with a vertical comp on this, obviously, because that way I don't get any of the background. And it'll just be the tree trunk itself. And here's the composition I'm looking at. Detail shots don't only extend to tree trunks. You can also look down at the ground as well. Now, while a lot of the undergrowth in these forests is pretty unattractive at this time of year, you sometimes get some really nice plants. For example, this is what you call Oregon dwarf grape. And what makes these interesting to me is that if you look at the leaves, each of them is serrated in a way that matches the way that the leaves themselves come off the trunk. Oh, the stem, obviously, not trunk. And that's the sort of thing that can work into an interesting abstract composition. Just need to find the right particular plant for that. Here, for example, is the sort of thing I'm looking for. Notice there's a very distinct center with the stems growing off of it. And that can be used as a focal point, probably in one of the rules of thirds compositions, and get a very nice sense of everything bursting forth from a certain locus. One of my other favorite subjects in forests are the bases of trees, where the trunk meets the ground. Now, this may not be the best composition because of all the light in the background, but the rootedness of the trees, the solidity and the sense of growth coming from there can give sort of a very nice story to the picture. And if you can find one with a nice combination of texture on the tree trunk and undergrowth, you get some very nice results. Now, normally I don't like including human-made objects in nature. It just seems like it's a contradiction of it. But over here we have something interesting. Because it's a split rail fence, this has a certain natural quality to it that you wouldn't get with, say, a metal or just a standard wood board fence. And the moss on top suggests an intersection between human and natural elements that I think can produce compelling image. I'm going to go in with vertical comp on this. I'm going to try to set up so that the rails of the fence run off into the distance while the focus is on the moss on top of the post. Now here's the composition I've chosen. Notice that I've got a relatively wide open aperture. I'm hoping to use localized focus on the post and let the rest of the rail fade off into a blur. I'm also not sure whether I'm going to take it with this further pulled back shot so you can see the trail or not. I'm going to take it both ways, and if either of them come out, you'll see it now. Of course, one of the advantages of being in an arboretum, maybe a bit of cheating for those who think that you should be doing nature in the wild, is that we have a number of flowers that are blooming even at this time of the year. This in particular, I believe, is what they call a Christmas cheer rhododendron. Now, it isn't anywhere near Christmas, but I guess it just means that it flowers much earlier than most. And this obviously gives me a great opportunity for some close-up shots that are using a shallow depth of field. So we shall get a few of these right now. Okay, this one here is at f6.3, and see how this turns out. Here we have some Cornelian cherry. These small buds, blossoms are really quite attractive. The trick here is trying to find a composition that does not have the background that completely overwhelms the flowers themselves. So I'm going to take a little while to figure out whether there even is a good shot on this one. Now the best possibility here might be going for this branch, this small branch here, coming close, because although unfortunately you still got a lot more of those same flowers behind you, you also have the moss-covered branch that should help it stand out a bit. I'm going to obviously take the shutter, the aperture way down, see what I can get with it. Of course, paths through the woods can always be effective. I'm going to be doing this one on a vertical composition. The only problem I've got here are those two sprinklers right in the way. They're really quite annoying. I'm going to have to see if I can take them out. If I can't, I'm probably not going to bother with this, but we'll see what we can get. Well, what's interesting right here is that we're out of the garden part of the Arboretum in itself, but we still seem to have some sort of a rose growing here. Not sure whether this is supposed to be the garden or if this just sprouted on its own, but I'm certainly going to be getting some photos of it. Well, that was about it for this trip. Did I get any portfolio-worthy images? Probably not. But I did get some good ones, which I think I can get some good results from. In any event, I certainly enjoyed being out in nature this afternoon, and I'm looking forward to when spring finally comes along. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.